One more question. Is it what happens with the soul when the core snaps?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about reincarnation and so.
Yes.
Some might reincarnate fast and some don't. And why?
Do you want to know the truth about reincarnation?
Yes.
It's a very good question. The truth about reincarnation is that almost everything you've learned about reincarnation is not true. Let's describe what is true and then we'll compare the two about reincarnation. There is a strong belief that, let's talk about what reincarnation is as it is currently known. There is a strong belief that once this physical body dies, obviously the silver cord is no longer intact, so we've got it like that. We've still got the soul. Notice I've drawn it like a half of a soul. So it's actually a half of a soul connected to this spirit body with another cord, which is all the sensory apparatus go through this cord. Let's call it a golden cord rather than a silver cord. Different kind of cord connecting the spirit body to the soul. You're now in the spirit world. Now there is a theory, the reincarnation theory, is that this spirit body attached to this soul can now reincarnate. So in other words, they can find another physical body and go into it. That's the theory. Right? Now that theory, while it might sound good initially, has a few problems with it. From a physical and logical perspective as well as an emotional one. Let's have a look at the problems. You've heard of the term soulmates? Yes?
Yes.
You've heard of the term, some of you think of it as twin flames?
Yes.
Twin flames or soulmates? So you've heard those terms. Right. Okay. So here's God. God is a combination of masculine and feminine qualities. God creates children, which are also a combination of masculine and feminine qualities. Right? And when I say a combination of masculine and feminine qualities, they can be dominantly masculine or dominantly feminine, but they'll still have a blend of masculine and feminine qualities. Yeah? When you incarnate the very first time, two bodies are created for you. So every time somebody has sex and gets pregnant, there are two bodies created, not one. Two. The two bodies are the physical body and the spirit body. Spirit body and physical body. Two bodies. And the soul, the half of the soul, attaches itself to both of those bodies. Understand? So far? Any questions about that? Now I explain all of this in a talk called The Secrets of the Universe. And there's another talk I've given called Reincarnation if you want to know more details. So they're both on YouTube, I think. The Reincarnation talk's on YouTube as well. I'm not sure about the Reincarnation talk, but The Secrets of the Universe talk is on YouTube. Now the other half of the soul goes through exactly the same process. Somebody else gets pregnant. Let's say this one is a female body. Female body is created. Two bodies created. The feminine half of the soul attaches itself to those two bodies. Everyone with me so far? So we've got two bodies. Right now you are two bodies. Physical body and a spirit body attached to a soul. The soul is the real you, and the bodies are your sensory apparatus, like a robot, that the real you experiences the world. The real you, the soul, experiences the world physically through the physical body. The real you, the soul, experiences the spirit world through the spirit body. The spirit body has eyes, it has ears, it has a sense of smell, taste, and other what do you call them? Sensory apparatus, right? Just like the physical body. In fact, the spirit body has more sensory apparatus than the physical body does, but it's still a body. It's still just a tool or like a robot. Yes? Now, if that's the way we're created and that's the way we incarnate, and I'm saying to you that it's the way we incarnate, then can you see that if we pass from death, if we pass through the process of death of the body, only one body dies, which still leaves the other body attached to the soul. Now, there is direct proof of this. If you talk to any spirit, they tell you that they have a body. And the spirits who don't believe they have one often are lying, because the spirits who are sincere, they tell you that they have a body. So they still have their spirit body attached to their soul. Now, in the first incarnation, the soul separated and it didn't have any bodies. And at the point of pregnancy, 2 bodies are created, not one. Now, if that's the case, if we reincarnated without losing this body, this spirit body, then there'd be 3 bodies. There'd be 2 spirit bodies and 1 physical. Right? And so forth and so forth. Every time you reincarnated, you'd have another spirit body, another spirit body, another spirit body, another... And you'd end up with 500 spirit bodies, or 1,000 spirit bodies, if you think about reincarnation currently is. And I'm suggesting to you that's not what happens. What happens to reincarnate is the spirit bodies also have to die. They also have to be disconnected from the soul. And that's an entirely different process, one that I can describe to you, but it's an entirely different process than the process of death, right? Death of the physical body. Until that occurs, reincarnation cannot occur. Now, there are many spirits in the spirit world who believe in reincarnation because they were taught it on earth. And so they pass over into the spirit world still believing in reincarnation. And what would you do if you believed in it? You would try to reincarnate, would you not? And many of them do try. And they can't reincarnate. Instead, what they finish up doing is overcloaking another person on earth who is in a body. They actually finish up sharing the body of another person on earth. Right? Now, I've talked to literally millions of spirits who have done this through my life, and I know it to be a fact. And through the discussion of some of the, we might be able to have some spirit discussions that we can talk about this being a fact with you. But this is what actually happens. Now, for reincarnation to actually occur, these 2 bodies also have to have disappeared, and the 2 halves of the soul have to be rejoined. They have to go through a unification process. You follow me so far? Now, when does that occur? Well, here we are on Earth. Initially we're separate. We've got the 2 bodies, right? And the feminine half of the soul. And it, by the way, it could be 2 males and 2 females. It just depends on what the attraction is, and we can describe that later. I'm just drawing it what it is about 80 to 90% of the time. Once we pass, those bodies have died. They now disintegrate into the elements. They are no longer important to the whole procedure. The spirit is now living in the spirit world. Half of the spirit, the half of the soul, living in the spirit world. Right? With the body, a spirit body. Initially, the body looks very similar to the one that your body looks on Earth. It has a very similar genetic code, just different type of form, that's all. And what happens is, to actually amalgamate the 2 halves, you have to progress in love. You have to progress 22 times through 22 different dimensions. And it's not just times, because there's literally hundreds of things in each dimension to learn. But as you progress, the 2 halves go through transitions. So this is 1, dimensional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, And in 7 there is a major transition. And then it goes up a step further, and just before the 22nd there is another major transition. The transition here is the bodies are lost, and the two halves of the soul rejoin with each other without their bodies, because you don't need them anymore. You're now one soul again. But now you're a soul that has a long history of experience, and you have a huge understanding of the universe and how everything works as a result of that experience. At this point here is when you become at one with God. That's what I termed in the first century being born again. You change your form. The soul changes in that place to become soul dominate, not mind dominant. And then you continue growing, and eventually the two halves of the soul reach the point where they join with each other. And that's called, by spirits, a soul union. Once the soul is unified, it's able to reincarnate. It cannot reincarnate before then.